Namaste. By the grace and direction of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tamuchur Brahmanastushta Rajanam Prastrayanvitam Esyasmin Isahyasmin Prajatanto Purunam Pura Varshaba. The learned Brahmanas, who were very satisfied with the charities of the king, addressed him as the chief amongst the Purus, and informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent from the Purus. Text 16. Daivenna pratighatena shukle samstam upeshushi ratovo nugrahartaya vishnuna prabha vishnuna. The Brahmana said, "This spotless son has been restored by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon." Purport. The child Parīkṣit was saved by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Vishnu, Lord Krishna, for two reasons. The first reason is that the child in the womb of his mother was spotless due to his being a pure devotee of the Lord. The second reason is that the child was the only surviving male descendant of Puru, the pious forefather of the virtuous King Yudhisthira. The Lord wants to continue the line of pious kings to rule over the earth as his representatives for the actual progress of a peaceful and prosperous life. After the battle of Kurukshetra, even up to the next generation of Maharaj Yudhisthira was annihilated, and there were none who could generate another son in the great royal family. Maharaj Parīkṣit, the son of Abhimanyu, was the only surviving heir apparent in the family, and by irresistible supernatural Brahmastra weapon of Asvatthama, he was forced to be annihilated. Lord Krishna is described herein as Vishnu, and this is also significant. Lord Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, does the work of protection and annihilation in his capacity of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna, the all-pervasive activities. Lord Vishnu is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. The all-pervasive activities of the Lord are executed by him in his Vishnu feature. Child Parīkṣit is described here as spotlessly white because he was an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Such unalloyed devotees of the Lord appear on the earth just to execute the mission of the Lord. The Lord desires the conditioned souls hovering in the material creation to be reclaimed to go back home, back to Godhead, and thus he helps them by preparing the transcendental literatures like the Vedas, by sending missionaries of saints and sages, and by deputing his representative, the spiritual master. Such transcendental literatures, missionaries, and representatives of the Lord are spotlessly white because the contamination of the material qualities cannot even touch them. They are always protected by the Lord when they are threatened with annihilation. Such foolish threats are made by the gross materialists. The Brahmastra, which was thrown by Asvatthama at the child Parīkṣit, was certainly supernaturally powerful, and nothing of the material world could resist its force of penetration. But the all-powerful Lord, who is present everywhere, within and without, could counteract it by his all-powerful potency, just to save a bona fide servant of the Lord and descendant of another devotee, Maharaj Yudhisthira, who was always obliged by the Lord by his causeless mercy. Text 17. Tasmannamna Vishnurata iti loke bhavishyati tasandeho mahabhaga Bhagavato Mahan. For this reason, this child will be known in the world as one who is protected by the personality of Godhead. O most fortunate one, there is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee and will be qualified with all good qualities. Purport. The Lord gives protection to all living beings because he is their supreme leader. The Vedic hymns confirm that the Lord is the supreme person amongst all personalities. The difference between the two living beings is that one, the personality of Godhead, provides for all other living beings, and by knowing him, one can achieve eternal peace. That's said in the Katha Upanishad. Such protection is given by his different potencies to different grades of living beings, but as far as his unalloyed devotees are concerned, he gives the protection personally. Therefore, Maharaj Parīkṣit is protected from the very beginning of his appearance in the womb of his mother. And because he is specially given protection by the Lord, the indication must be concluded that the child would be a first-grade devotee of the Lord with all good qualities. There are three grades of devotees, namely Mahabhagavat, Madhyam Adhikari, and Kanistha Adhikari. Those who go to the temples of the Lord and offer worshipful respect to the deity without sufficient knowledge in the theological science, and therefore without any respect for the devotees of the Lord, are called materialistic devotees or Kanistha Adhikari, the third-grade devotees. Secondly, the devotees who have developed a mentality of genuine service to the Lord, and who thus make friendships only with similar devotees, show favor to the neophytes and avoid the atheists, are called second-grade devotees. But those who see everything in the Lord, or everything of the Lord, and also see in everything an eternal relation of the Lord, so that there is nothing within their purview of sight except the Lord, are called the Mahabhagavats, or the first-grade devotees of the Lord. Such first-grade devotees of the Lord are perfect in all respects. The devotee who may be in any of these categories is automatically qualified by all good qualities, and thus a Mahabhagavat devotee like Maharaj Parīkṣit is certainly perfect in all respects. And because Maharaj Parīkṣit took his birth in the family of Maharaj Yudhisthira, he is addressed herein as Mahabhagavat, or the greatest of the fortunates. The family in which a Mahabhagavat takes his birth is fortunate because, due to the birth of a first-grade devotee, the members of the family, past, present, and future, up to 100 generations, become liberated by the grace of the Lord, out of respect for his beloved devotee. Therefore, the highest benefit is done to one's family simply by becoming an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Text 18. Shri Rajo Vacha Apyesha Vamsham Rajashrin Punya Shlokan Mahatmana Anuvartitas Vidyasa Sadhu Vadena Satmaha. The good king Yudhisthira inquired, O great souls, will he become as saintly a king, as pious in his very name, and as famous and glorified in his achievements, as others who appeared in this great royal family? Purport. The forefathers of King Yudhisthira were all great saintly kings, pious and glorified by their great achievements. They were all saints on the royal throne, and therefore all the members of the state were happy, pious, well-behaved, prosperous, and spiritually enlightened. Under strict guidance of great souls and spiritual injunctions, such great saintly kings were trained up. As a result, the kingdom was full of saintly persons, and was a happy land of spiritual life. Maharaj Yudhisthira was himself a replica of his ancestors, and he desired that the next king after him become exactly like his great forefathers. He was happy to learn from the learned Brahmanas that by astrological calculations the child would be born a first-grade devotee of the Lord, and more confidently he wanted to know whether the child was going to follow in the footsteps of his great forefathers. That is the way of the monarchical state. The reigning king should be a pious, chivalrous devotee of the Lord, and fear personified for the upstarts. He must also leave an heir apparent equally qualified to rule over the innocent citizens. In the modern setup of the democratic states, the people themselves are fallen to the qualities of the Sudras or less, and the government is run by their representative, who is ignorant of the scriptural mode of administrative education. Thus, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with Sudra qualities, manifested by lust and avarice. Such administrators quarrel every day among themselves. The cabinet of ministers changes often due to party and group selfishness. Everyone wants to exploit the state resources till he dies. No one retires from political life unless forced to do so. How can such low-grade men do good for the people? The result is corruption, intrigue and hypocrisy. They should learn from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam how ideal the administrators must be before they can be given charge of different posts. Text 19. Brahmana uchu partha prajavita sakshad ikshvakur iva manava brahmanya satya sandhuscha ramho dasarathir yata. The learned Brahmanas said, O son of Pritha, this child shall be exactly like King Ikshvaku, son of Manu, in maintaining all those who are born. And as for following the Brahminical principles, especially in being true to his promise, he shall be exactly like Rama, the personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Dasaratha. Purport. Praja means the living being who has taken his birth in the material world. Actually, the living being has no birth and no death, but because of his separation from the service of the Lord, and due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is offered a suitable body to satisfy his material desires. In doing so, one becomes conditioned by the laws of material nature, and the material body is changed in terms of his own work. The living entity thus transmigrates from one body to another in 8,400,000 species of life. But due to his being the part and parcel of the Lord, he not only is maintained with all necessities of life by the Lord, but also is protected by the Lord and his representatives, the saintly kings. These saintly kings give protection to all the prajas, or living beings, to live and to fulfill their terms of imprisonment. Maharaj Parīkṣit was actually an ideal saintly king because while touring his kingdom, he happened to see that a poor cow was about to be killed by the personified Kali, whom he had once took to task as a murderer. This means that even the animals were given protection by the saintly administrators, not from any sentimental point of view, but because those who have taken their birth in the material world have the right to live. All the saintly kings, beginning from the king of the sun globe down to the king of the earth, are so inclined by the influence of the Vedic literatures. The Vedic literatures are taught in higher planets also, as there is reference in Bhagavad Gita 4.1 about the teachings to the sun god Vishvasan by the Lord, and such lessons are transferred by disciplic succession, as it was done by the sun god to his son Manu, and from Manu to Maharaj Ikshvaku. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and the Manu referred to herein is the seventh Manu, who is one of the Prajapatis, those who create progeny, and he is the son of the sun god. He is known as the Vaivasvata Manu. He had 10 sons, and Maharaj Ikshvaku is one of them. Maharaj Ikshvaku also learned Bhakti Yoga as taught in the Bhagavad Gita from his father, Manu, who got it from his father, the sun god. Later on, the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita came down by disciplic succession from Maharaj Ikshvaku, but in course of time the chain was broken by unscrupulous persons, and therefore it again had to be taught to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kuruksetra. So all the Vedic literatures are current from the very beginning of creation of the material world, and thus the Vedic literatures are known as Apurusaya, not made by man. The Vedic knowledge was spoken by the Lord and first heard by Brahma, the first created living being within the universe. Maharaj Ikshvaku is one of the sons of Vaishvata Manu. He had 100 sons. He prohibited meat eating. His son Sashada became the next king after his death. Manu. The Manu mentioned in this verse is the father of Ikshvaku, is the seventh Manu. Of the name Vaivasvata Manu, the son of the sun god, Vishvasan, whom Lord Krishna instructed in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The Manu mentioned in this verse as as the father of Ikshvaku, is the seventh Manu of the name Vaisvata Manu, the son of sun god Vishvasan, to whom Lord Krishna instructed the teachings of Bhagavad Gita prior to his teaching them to Arjuna. Mankind is the descendant of Manu. This Vaishvata Manu had 10 sons, named Ikshvaku, Nabhaga, Drishta, Saryati, Narishyanta, Nabhaga, Dista, Karusa, Prashadra, and Vasuman. The Lord's incarnation, Matsya, the gigantic fish, was advented during the beginning of Vaivasvata Manu's reign. He learned the principles of Bhagavad Gita from his father, Vishvasan, the sun god, and he re-instructed the same to his son, Maharaj Ikshvaku. In the beginning of Treta Yuga, the sun god instructed devotional service to Manu, and Manu in his turn instructed it to Ikshvaku for the welfare of the whole human society. Lord Rama. The Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnated himself as Sri Ram, accepting the sonhood of his pure devotee Maharaj Dasaratha, the king of Ayodhya. Lord Rama descended along with his plenary portions, and all of them appeared as his younger brothers. In the month of Chaitra, on the 9th day of the growing moon in the Treta Yuga, the Lord appeared, as usual, to establish the principles of religion and to annihilate the disturbing elements. When he was just a young boy, he helped the great sage Vishvamitra by killing Shubahu and striking Maricha, the 2 demons who were disturbing the sages in their daily discharge of duties. The Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are meant to cooperate for the welfare of the mass of people. The Brahmana sages endeavored to enlighten the people by perfect knowledge, and the Kshatriyas are meant for their protection. Lord Ramachandra is the ideal king for maintaining and protecting the highest culture of humanity, known as Brahmanya Dharma. The Lord is specifically the protector of the cows and the Brahmanas, and hence he enhances the prosperity of the world. He rewarded the administrative demigods by effective weapons to conquer the demons through the agency of Vishvamitra. He was present in the bow sacrifice of King Janaka, and by breaking the invincible bow of Shiva, he married Sita Devi, daughter of Maharaj Janaka. After his marriage, he accepted exile in the forest for 14 years by the order of his father, Maharaj Dasaratha. To help the administration of the demigods, he killed 14,000 demons, and by the intrigues of the demons, his wife Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravana. He made friendship with Sugriva, who was helped by the Lord to kill Vali, brother of Sugriva. By the help of Lord Rama, Sugriva became the king of the Vanaras, a race of gorillas. The Lord built a floating bridge of stone on the Indian Ocean and reached Lanka, the kingdom of Ravana, who had kidnapped Sita. Later on, Ravana was killed by him, and Ravana's brother, Vibhishana, was installed on the throne of Lanka. Vibhishana was one of the brothers of Ravana, a demon, but Lord Ram made him immortal by his blessings. On the expiry of 14 years, after settling the affairs at Lanka, the Lord came back to his kingdom, Ayodhya, by Flower Plain. He instructed his brother Satrugna to attack Ravanasura, who reigned at Mathura, and the demon was killed. He performed 10 Ashvamedha sacrifices, and later on he disappeared while taking a bath at the Saruya River. The great epic Ramayana is the history of Lord Rama's activities in the world, and the authoritative Ramayana was written by the great poet Valmiki. Thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 20 on Monday, hopefully. All glories to Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti-Niskam Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Vigyan Muni Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Nirmala Charya Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupada Jagat Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to our Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Nrsimhapali Dham Ki Jai, Ekachakra Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Nitai Gora Hari 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 Bol.